What's up, guys? Today, we're going to have a conversation with Matt Kemp from Deal Machine. As you guys know, I use Deal Machine not just when I first started, but also to now. I mean, going from 1 or 2 deals a month all the way up to 10 deals a month. I've used it during my whole business career. So I wanted to kind of slow it down a little bit. Now, I know I could be all high level and advanced in some of my strategies, but some students reminded me that we needed to get back to the basics. So I thought that was a really good opportunity to bring the team on and share a little bit about Deal Machine. Matt, introduce yourself, brother.
Yes, Juan, I appreciate you having me on again, man. This is always a good time. And, I love teaching people on how we can be as helpful as possible. I mean, our mission over here is to give everyone the power of real estate investing using technology like this. So, happy to give that opportunity today. I know I'm Matt Camp over here with Deal Machine, work on partnerships over here, really help educate audiences like this on how to be using the software to achieve your real estate business goals and help you go find off market deals. So, what I share today, Swan, I'm going to give a good rundown, a demo showing like, hey, here's how to go find leads, how to go find motivated sellers. Here's how to get in touch with them that we've seen work over and over and over again. And then here's how to kind of manage your pipeline to really close deals and make really confident, solid offers. So I'll try to go through that today. I'll share as many pro tips as I can, but I don't want to get too complicated. And really what I share today is it's really that playbook that, everyone from yourself, you've built your business doing it, which is super inspiring to see how you've evolved and, gotten more and more complex with using the technology. It's from David Lecko, our founder. I mean, he was getting out there, and when he was brand new to real estate, he was told by everybody like, hey, go do this thing called driving for dollars. Like, this is where you can get your best deals, your best leads, your most motivated sellers. And when he would go out and do it himself, he tried doing it by hand. It would take him forever. It would take him forever to find the house, to write down the address, to look up info about the owner, to get in touch with them, all of that. So he created a technology to help him just save as much time and as much money as possible in that process. And that's where Deal Machine came from. He built his own financial freedom doing that, and now gave the technology to everybody to help them, solve that problem for themselves too.
Let's go. And that's honestly why I love this app, just because a lot of softwares don't actually have a user that's in the business to keep up with the updates. So you guys be sure to stay tuned the whole time, because at the end of this, we're actually going to drop a little coupon code. That way you guys can get some free credits to start using the app today.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. And then that's something, I mean, we, versus going through our site, we'll make sure you're getting a special bonus here just for watching this. And, once you watch this, you're trained up, you're ready to go, like go try it out. So just to kind of define this for you really quick here, we hear, you may or may not have heard of the term driving for dollars if you're watching this. That's the idea behind it. It's, hey, getting in your car, driving around, physically driving, looking for those fixer upper properties, the houses that have the tarp on the roof, the gutters falling off, siding falling off, broken boarded up windows, obviously vacant properties, things like that, where you're looking for a house that has physical distress. And, it can be really obvious like that, or it can be less obvious. One thing we'll talk about often is one of our first hires, he got out there and landed a deal using Deal Machine himself. And it was a property that had Halloween decorations up, and it was like March. So it's like, okay, they missed a couple of major holidays for whatever reason. They're just not keeping up with the physical appearance of that property. And it's things like that to just show you like, hey, something's not right here. The owner of this property may or may not want to deal with this anymore. And it could be anything from a tired landlord to a vacant house to an inherited property to, they could have hundreds of different problems that you can come in and solve by putting on your real estate investor cap, having a conversation with them, asking what's going on with the property, and really helping use things like speed and convenience and cash to your disposal to help them, solve that financial problem they're having, and, trade a good deal, trade equity for you solving that problem. So,
yeah. And I love the map, because the map didn't look like this years ago when I started. So every time I log in and I see the map like this, I'm like, this is better.
Yeah, it's something. I mean, that's one thing we really pride ourselves on. We're the highest rated and most reviewed app out there for investors to find off market deals. And this is one of the main reasons is that we're always evolving. We're always listening to you guys of like, hey, what feature do you need next? What do you need help with? What do you, we really try to get as much customer feedback and really use that to guide our product as much as possible. So even if you look at the App Store and see like, the last updates we've done, guaranteed it's been a couple times a month, and it's major stuff we're always putting out. So appreciate you said that. I'll pass that on along to the product team for sure, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the goal here is we're looking for, driving for dollars leads, which I'll show you how to drive for dollars here in just a second. Again, these are the least competitive leads as well, because, they're not are they only motivated, or not only are they motivated, not only do they have a house that doesn't look great, and that, that's an indicator that, hey, they're just not able to keep up with it. They might be actually in a motivated situation to looking to sell. But also they're the least competitive leads because, hey, there are a lot of ways, there are a lot of softwares, there are a lot of things out there that you can just buy a list or pull a list really quickly. I mean, we even have a list builder up here on the top that you can see that is an option to kind of supplement your driving for dollars leads. And I can show that off briefly here in a little bit. But, those properties are super easy to get a hold of a list of. Whereas if you're inside Deal Machine driving for dollars, you're finding properties that may not show up on a list like that. You're finding the ones that are the diamonds in the rough, the ones that not everyone is already going after or already trying to get in touch with that owner. So you have a much better chance to be the one that, when they are looking to sell, that you're the one that they reach out to, that they talk to, that they're open to having a conversation about selling their property. So, that's the goal here, is to really be a deal finder and to find those diamonds in the rough and to put in that extra work of driving around and looking for properties, because they pay off in the end that way. And there typically takes 3 to 4 times less leads of driving for dollars than it would take if you went through and bought a list somewhere or pulled a general list somewhere. So
that's for sure. I actually really like that, because typically it takes time. Like a lot of people ask, should they buy a list, or should they go to the courthouse, or should they drive for dollars? And a lot of times, I say, hey, just drive for dollars, because the code violation letter, that doesn't happen until the code violation has happened for months. So if you're driving around and you see tall grass before the city does, then, hey, you're going to be calling that seller before it goes to the city, before other investors are actually talking to that seller. So you're going to be able to talk to people that nobody else is talking to.
Exactly. Yeah. Great example there. So with that in mind, I'll mention, we do have a feature on our pro plan that I highly recommend starting off with when you're trying to figure out, like, where do I go drive? Where do I go start looking for these deals? You'll see here we have a highlights button. That highlights button is tapping into thousands of data points that we have inside of Deal Machine to help you really figure out, like, hey, what are good areas to drive before I just get out there and start driving? Nice. Now, if you want to keep it simple and easy, if you're on our starter plan, just get out there, start driving, start looking for all those signs we told you to. In terms of levels of distress, that's great. That's one way you can go about doing it. But if you are on our pro level plan, use this highlights button, and you can click on that and do things like, hey, let me look at these quick lists. I've got vacant properties right away I can look at. I've got, foreclosure status. I have, absentee owned. I have senior owner, hot neighborhoods, all kinds of stuff to be able to tap into and look at and really help you figure out, like, where are the clusters of these properties. One thing I really recommend on our end is we talk about, hey, look for properties that are a little bit older, that have a little bit of the assessed values got some room to work with. So it's got, a certain level of assessed value. Is not like the cheapest house in the entire city. And look for single family homes. We really recommend, like, starting there in terms of just big, broad things to really figure out and help you qualify. Is this a good neighborhood to start driving in? So, with those 3 criteria in mind, if you want to look for an older home, this means, like, hey, it's more likely to be distressed. It's more likely to be run down. So I can type in year built and say, hey, let me see homes that were built at least 30 years ago, start there, very broad. Also, hey, we talked about single family. Okay, cool. Let me go to property type, single family home, which we do have. Multifamily, you've got vacant land, you've got industrial stuff, you've got, literally hundreds of things to choose from in a little bit of a catch-all filter around, like, weird and unusual property types is the name of the filter. You can go there and see all kinds of different stuff, but just keep it simple. Start with year built, start with single family, and then go in here and, like I said, assess value. So calculated, let's see, total value here is greater than, we'll call it 150,000. So I know they're not like the cheapest house in the entire city, right? So apply those filters and you'll see entire neighborhoods pop up. And that'll help show me, like, hey, yeah, this is a good place to start. I see homes all around me that are single family that are built a while ago, and they, have some kind of calculated value that I can work with, especially if you're going to wholesale. that calculated value can be a valuable thing to look at. So, I'll start there. So you've got the highlights filter. Let me clear all of this, and that'll help show me, okay, this is a good area to start driving around, start looking for houses. So once I've determined that, I jump right into, this is again the web app right here. You can jump into the mobile app, which looks just like this, just squeezed down on a smaller screen, right? And it locks on your location. So again, when you're driving for dollars, you're getting in your car, you're physically driving around and looking for fixer uppers. When you're doing that, it's going to lock on your location just like GPS would. And you can say, hey, yeah, let me look at all these dots around me, because each black dot is a different property you see in real life, which, if you want to actually toggle, I've got this satellite view right here. You can see all the houses pop up. A lot of people will actually like that when they're driving around. So you can use that or standard view, which I'll keep to this for this demo. But that's the whole point of this, is that as you drive around, as I drive down Itasca right here, I can see, hey, 5721 Itasca, I see it in real life. I touch on it in the app and it'll pop up right there and say, hey, here's the situation with this property. It's owner occupied. Here's the last sale date. They bought it in 2014. Here's the assessed value of it. Here's more information about the mortgage. Here's more information about, you've got square footage. You've got even things like flood zone and zoning and all kinds of data you can be looking at. So as you get used to this, as you get more and more advanced as an investor, and what your buy box needs to look like, and exactly what to look for, all of that data can be super powerful. But to keep it really simple and easy, hey, just look for rundown houses. Just tap on them in the app, hit add lead, and move on to the next one. So that's what you're looking for. Yeah.
That's perfect. Hey, just so everybody can know, if you haven't gone out and drove for dollars yet, what you have to do if you don't have this app is, when you find that house, is write down the address, go back home, pull up your computer, go to the tax assessor's website, and then you'll find the owner. So at that point, you have the owner and you have the address, but you'll have to do even further research to find their phone number. So essentially what this app is allowing you to do is to squeeze 30 minutes of time. And I think you saw, just in one click, you got the name. So in 2 clicks, you get the phone number. The phone number. So don't try to skip this step, because in this real estate investing business, as you can see, he has hundreds of blue dots on here into his in his app, and you'll need hundreds, if not thousands, of properties inside of your Deal Machine app, so that way you can consistently get deals every single month.
Yeah, it's a numbers game in the end. Like, you need to have a quantity of leads to get there and do your first deal and many after. I mean, I know on average across the entire US, it's usually somewhere in the 300 or so range in terms of number of leads that you need to be marketing to get a deal. So, and that's like rundown houses. That's you going out, adding leads to your list. And that's you taking that next step and actually marketing to those people at least 3 times ideally. So, you're going to want to get hundreds of leads in there as you go around doing this. Like you mentioned, hey, you've got the black dots around you. When you add them, you hit add lead and a blue pin appears right there. That means they're added on my list. A couple of other quick tips on here. You've got these blue dots around you every so often. Those blue dots mean that they're a property that has been on the MLS within the last year. So it's been a property that, this one was sold back in May 2022. As I drive down the street, and, when you hit start driving on the app, that's when it locks onto your location. So as you drive down the street, you'll see these blue dots pop up too. For this strategy, I know you can teach a variety of different things there. For this strategy, I'd say, generally you want to avoid the on-market stuff. That's the point of driving for dollars here. You also do want to make sure that, whenever you do drive around and you find a property that was listed on the market, you can look into it and see, hey, was this a failed listing? Was this a property that, expired, and they had problems selling it? Then at that point, that could be a good lead. But in general, just know that the black dots are all the houses around you. The blue dots mean probably avoid them because they've been on market. And then the blue pins, these pins right here, mean I've added that lead to my list and I can keep going. So as you're doing this, again, you're building the best list out there. You're finding those properties that, are the diamonds in the rough. They're the hidden leads all around you that don't necessarily pop up on lists like that, but they're, you find them by driving for dollars, by looking for distress like this. A couple of other quick pro tips on the map here. You see these green lines around me. This is route tracking. So this is something that, like you said, Salon, like if you do this manually, you might double back on routes. You might not know where you've been. You might not know exactly where to drive next. That automatically tracks all inside Deal Machine. So that's super powerful for saving you time, for really planning where to go. You'll see a green little tail pop up behind you as you drive down the street, and that's tracking your route there. And then at 6 months, that tail turns yellow, and at a year, it turns red. So you can really look back and figure out like, where's it been a while since I've driven? And oh, I did a deal over here. Let me go, backtrack over here and do it again because it's been 6 months. It's been a year. Even with every 6 months, if you're doing this proactively and you're covering entire neighborhoods or your whole area, your whole community, I highly recommend every 6 months going back and redoing it because things change quickly. So, I say,
okay, interesting right there. I just want to stop it right there. So let's just say, like you said, I'm putting in addresses in a neighborhood. Okay. And 6 months later, I want to see if any of those properties have changed hands. We can do that inside of the app.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can actually, one, the highlights filter will really help you with that. Like you could click highlights and be able to say like, hey, let me create a highlight by sold date. Or let me see, MLS. Here we go. Sale date right here, and MLS status right there. And we actually have MLS data for every single state. So that's like non-disclosure states. That's Texas. That's everything out there that nice. We've got the actual sold data there, not just the projected, price or anything like that. It's the actual sale date and sale data right there. So you can use that to figure out like, hey, where are transactions happening? Where are a lot of things happening around me? That's, we've got that hot neighborhood quick filter that, that taps into that as well. But yeah, I would say like, say you're doing deals personally and you have driven an area before and it's been, 6 months or 12 months and you have done a deal there and you realize, oh, now I see yellow lines popping up. I see red lines popping up. It's been a while since I've driven it, especially if you've done deals there before. Like highly recommend revisiting that, every 6 months or so, because things do change quickly and it's worth redriving it. So
that's for sure. That's perfect.
Awesome. So keep it that simple in terms of how to drive for dollars, how to start adding leads, how to track your area, how to use highlights to figure out where to go. You can even keep highlights on. So that way, if you're driving around and you see a property that is highlighted and it's physically distressed, like, that's a high priority lead to work with. When you add a lead, again, you'll have a couple options inside the app that automatically pop up for you. Two things that I highly recommend doing. One of them is tagging. So you can see like, hey, I can add this to high priority. Nice. I can put level of distress. I can really I can customize those tags as well if you like. I also highly recommend taking a picture of that property. And the reason being is when you take a picture, that picture, which we're going to get to the next step here, is marketing to these sellers. That picture is going to show up on the postcard that you send them when you send mail to them. And it'll say, hey, is this your property? And that alone doubles your response rate. Like that gets you a way higher response rate because you have an actual picture. You've shown you've driven by, you're showing your local. And that's going to spike your response there. So, highly recommend
that feature.
Tagging in
I've always liked that feature. I think it's the best because then they know that you're local. All the other postcards that they get are using like a Google Earth photo or like no photo at all. Just something that's typed. So that already puts you ahead of the competition. It's like, oh, these people are in front of my house. Let me call them.
Yeah, exactly, man. Exactly. So that's what you're going to do. Use the highlights to figure out where to drive. You're going to start driving around. You're going to hit add lead. You're going to see those pins pop up. You'll track your route like that. And then, take a picture of the house when you add it and tag that house when you add it. That's kind of the starter kit right there. Two kind of next level strategies I do want to share really, really quick before we move on to marketing. One of them is virtually driving for dollars, which is it's really just fun to do. It feels like a game, but it's an awesome thing to do if you are in a market where you want to invest in a different market, like across the US. If you, maybe you have a day job, it's really hard to get out during the day. You can't drive around as much. Use it this way. Maybe you can just do it anytime, anywhere. We have people using virtual assistants to do it. We have people using it when it's really bad weather outside, things like that. There's a lot of different use cases for it, but it is an awesome alternative to not just driving around physically, but to do it anytime, anywhere. And it's this start driving button right here. And when you click that, again, I'm on the desktop version. The mobile app, you can do this as well. You can sit on your couch and just swipe around and click for dollars like that too. But when you hit start driving, you can just click anywhere inside Deal Machine, hit start driving right there, and it's going to import Google Street Image, Google Street View into Deal Machine right here. You see it on the bottom, left corner when I turn, when I turn and look at properties, that spins with me. But at this point, you're just clicking for dollars. You're doing the exact same thing as you would in real life, where you look at a house, you see, hey, is this physically stressed? What is the condition of it? And then if you want to hit add lead, you can do it right there and move on to the next one. And again, the picture, you've already got that street view right there. You're not taking a physical picture of it, but here's the tagging. You can come in here and do, high priority or whatever tags you'd like, and kind of move on to that next one. So, that is awesome to use. I will say you want to really double check the image when it was taken versus when that house was sold. So like, for example, here, this photo was taken May 2022. It'll tell you that right there. The large majority of places Google has driven those streets in the last year or two. So a lot of them will be updated, but you want to check that and then validate that against when this house was last sold. So you'll see, hey, this was last sold July 2020. The house, this photo was taken May 2022. Cool. This is probably the condition that it's in. You'll know that's a good lead. So you might have leads that look, really run down on here. And then the photo was taken in like 2017, 18, 19. You're like, okay, is this a good lead or not? But then looking when it was sold, and if it still hasn't been sold since then, it's still the same owner. It's still highly likely that this property is not fixed up currently.
Exactly.
So
yep. I love this for delegating the task. This is exactly how you scale up with Deal Machine right here.
There we go, man. So, that's one a little bit more advanced strategy. And then the other one is you can actually add drivers to your account as well. And which really quickly you'll see, here's the little route that I drove right here. So when you're virtually driving, it'll show you right there too, like, hey, here's the route you drove, and it'll track that route too. But in this top right corner, if you're on our pro level plan too, you can click on that, go to team, and then invite drivers to drive with you or for you as well. So if you have a buddy, if you've got family that wants to do this, you can hire a driver, which we can do a whole follow-up, deep dive on building an entire team for this thing. But nice. Just know that, hey, if you want to add somebody to Deal Machine and have them drive around for you and add leads for you too, like that's a great option too, to be able to team up and do this together. So
that's for sure. I always like that plan because typically what I do is I have my mom has access. One of my acquisition guys has access, and Miss Elrita, our trash out person that does lawns and trash outs for us, she has access too. So if they see something and they're somewhere where I'm not, they can add it in Deal Machine as well. So I love that.
There we go, man. So if you are thinking about driving for dollars like this, you've got a couple options. You can virtually do it. You can have people do it for you or with you with adding leads that way. You have our list builder option too. That's an upgrade within Deal Machine where you can pull lists, and it's really easy to just kind of draw around an area and say like, hey, yeah, show me all of the vacant houses right in here. And it'll tell you on the spot, hey, we've got 33 leads that fit your criteria. You can build lists that way. That's great too. But to stick to the basics on driving for dollars, it's simply get in there, use the mobile app to lock on your location, drive around, look at leads and look at houses in real life, click on them in the app, and just hit add lead and move on to the next one. So want to keep that simple, straightforward for you guys. And if you start there, you're already off to an amazing start. You're building a list that no one else has. You earn this list. You put in the work to do this. Whereas other people, they're highly likely getting a list somewhere else, pulling a list, doing something that's going to take much less time, but also be way less quality in terms of the actual leads that they're going to reach out to. So
for sure. That's for sure.
Awesome. So that's the drive tab. That's what you're going to see in the mobile app too. When you click the leads tab right here, this is where all of those are going. So if I add leads while I'm driving around, if I'm adding leads inside the web app, all of them go into one place right here where you'll see like, hey, here's the houses that I just looked at that I just added to my list. Now, there are a variety of different ways that you can reach out to sellers and really try to get their attention. The thing that we see work over and over and over again, which we've had over 10,000 people land deals using Deal Machine, 10,000 deals done using the app. We've got a lot of data to work with to tell you, hey, here's what works.
For sure.
Based on that, you've got two main options. You've got skip tracing and you've got direct mail. And where we really try to categorize this, like how to think about this from a strategic standpoint, you can think about a two-pronged marketing strategy. We talk about short-term marketing being the first prong, which short-term marketing is like, hey, here's a property that, or here's a marketing method that takes one-to-one outreach. It takes you reaching out, actually putting some time in to call them, to text them, to email them, to door knock, to leave a hanger on the door, do something that requires one-to-one outreach. It's not as scalable, but it can be really effective in terms of getting their attention. And then combine that with long-term marketing, which is something that we categorize as something that is scalable, that you can set it and forget it, and it just goes for you while you're sleeping. So the short-term marketing, we're inside Deal Machine to make it really easy for you guys. Yeah, you're driving around, maybe you door knock, maybe, we have a drive this list feature. Like if you've got an outside list, you can actually import that list and drive it inside Deal Machine and be able to interact with people that way. That's one option. But what you talked about, Sawand, is you've got skip tracing here, which this button right here, I won't click it so that we're not sharing info there. But whenever you actually click that, it pings our database and comes back with typically 3 to 7 on average phone numbers, email addresses, and mailing addresses. So it'll tell you, hey, if you're trying to get in touch with Zach and Kristen, it'll ping back with phone numbers, and it'll give you premium skip trace data. So it'll tell you, is this a landline number? Is it mobile? Is it caller ID? Or sorry, what is the caller ID? Is it connected? Is it disconnected? Is it on the do not call list? Is it on the known litigators list? You get a ton of data like that to be able to sort through and figure out which number should I reach out to? Who should I call? Who should I text? Who should I email? And really make it super easy and simple. Where
I'm gonna stop. I want to stop you right here real quick.
Go for it, man.
Okay, because this part is like extremely important.
Yeah.
How you're going to market to the seller. So this will be interesting. So one thing that I know is underused and undervalued inside of the Deal Machine app are the emails. I know it 100%. I know it 100%. Have you seen anyone use the emails in a way that they're productive and actually getting delivered, and people were actually marketing via the email and have success with reaching the sellers?
People do it. They honestly, you have to be, from a digital marketing standpoint, you can see people use the emails to send emails, or even to use them with targeting them with digital ads online. Like there are a ton of uses for that email, and that I know get underutilized. So I highly recommend.
I knew you was going to say that. I did a test one time. It's a little expensive on Facebook Marketplace, but with Facebook, everyone logs in with their email, and so Cameron, my marketer, he had the idea, let's export all of the emails from Deal Machine and let's create a custom audience with the emails. So be sure that you're not just letting those emails sit in there. We need to be marketing to them. Okay.
Great tip.
Now, the postcards, okay? Now, I like that you can create like a custom kind of drip. Have you seen like a consistency of how often we should send a postcard, or for how long?
So in both of those questions, I'd say in terms of how often, within Deal Machine, the default, so I'll show you guys right here. Say if I'm going to reach out, say if I did skip trace Abigail and Kevin right here, I got phone numbers, I got email addresses, all of that. I reached out, I tried to call them. I sent them a text saying, "Hey, I left a voicemail, was interested in your, in your property." We sent them an email with that too. And then that next step is, okay, cool. Let's do that long-term nurture. Let's put them on a set it and forget it mail campaign. When I hit start mail, the default inside Deal Machine is going to be every 21 days. And, I would say that's a really good cadence. It's probably, you can get a little less aggressive if you'd like, if you're going to be doing those other outreach methods with it. We highly recommend around once a month. The reason we put 21 days is because that way they're going to get it at a different time of the month each month. And, that way, maybe they pay attention to their mail certain times versus others, or, might get lost in all the bills one time, certain time of the month versus others. So I would say 3 to 5 weeks, every 3 to 5 weeks is probably is optimal. So
I like that.
And then number of times. Yeah.
No, I like that a lot. So because one thing I noticed, that people aren't motivated to sell on Fridays, because Friday's payday. And so I like the 21 days because, sometimes it'll hit in the middle of the week. Sometimes it'll hit the end of the month or the beginning of the month. It hits people at different times, and and they're going through different emotions, during that month. I love that.
Yeah. And so this is what it's going to look like, where that picture that you take, it's going to replace the street image right here. I will mention that inside of Deal Machine, we have a 9 or 10 default templates, and we have people. I mean, I don't know how much you customize your salon, but we have people who've done literally hundreds of deals with those default templates. So they are proven, they do work well. They're very simple, straightforward, but you can customize them too. I'll mention, you said like how many postcards should you send? We always highly recommend at least 3, ideally 6 to 12. So like if you're able to put them on that longer drip campaign, we've got 6 right here is my default setting that I've put inside Deal Machine, and you'll see, hey, they're going to get one now, and then every 21 days from there. And you can even click in to figure and see what's the actual template going to look like. But everything that you're doing with mail, you can actually manage, customize, change the sequences, all that stuff inside the mail center right here. So you click here, jump into the mail center. You'll see, okay, this month I've sent 18 postcards. I have 15 more scheduled. Here's how much it's going to cost me. It'll really go through and show you like, hey, here are the ones that are sent. Are they in transit? Have they been delivered? Were they returned to sender? Here are the ones that are scheduled, where they're going, the lead that I'm sending them to. So you can really optimize and budget and figure out like, how many am I sending? How often should I send it? And then beyond that too, you can actually go in, and you talked about sequences. You can click on mail sequences right here and say, hey, let me create a new sequence where I send this postcard, then this postcard, then this one. You can change the different styles of those postcards too in here, where you can go in here and customize the wording, customize the imagery, change the sizing of them, put on ballpoint letters, which look like they're handwritten for you, which they're more expensive, but they get a much higher response rate. We even have door hangers in here now that you can order those. So we have a lot of options you can mix and match, but to just keep it really simple, straightforward, and easy, when you add leads, come in there, do some kind of short-term outreach where you skip trace and then call, text, email, and then mix that in with the mailer, the start mail button, and set it and forget it and move on to that next one too. That's kind of the playbook of what we've seen work over and over again.
I love it. So we're going to get the phone numbers, give them a call, shoot them a text. Do your best to find them on Facebook or shoot them an email, and then also have some long-term follow-up with the postcard. I love that.
Perfect, man. Good stuff. So that's step 1 is building the great list. Step 2 is marketing that list in this kind of mixed marketing strategy, the 2-pronged approach like that. Step 3 is really managing those leads and making sure that anytime you follow through with people, they never fall through the cracks, and that, every single lead that you follow up with or that you're talking to, you always do what you say you're going to do next. So inside this leads tab you see right here, we've kind of shown off the drive tab quite a bit. List builder I mentioned, mail center I showed you. This leads tab really is essentially a CRM inside Deal Machine, where every lead that you have that you've added by driving for dollars, or that you've imported by hitting add leads and imported, that's all going right here. So you can see, hey, every single property that I've got right here, I can go through. I can, again, if you've tagged them, I highly recommend filtering those leads and saying, hey, yeah, show me all the properties that I've tagged as high priority, so I know where to start, where to spend my time first, where to really come in and spend more time marketing to them and calling them and texting them and doing the one-to-one outreach stuff. But once you do that, you just want to look at this leads list right here. And as you follow up with people, I highly recommend 2 specific things to stay organized. There is note taking. So, whenever you click on a lead, you jump in here, you go to the activity tab right here.
Yep.
And you can hit, hey, let me add notes. And that just keeps you organized. That just keeps you following up with people or building on your conversation in a productive way, where, if you talk to them and exactly what problem you're solving for them, or you learn personal information about them and you want to have that nice touch point, like put all that in an organized fashion inside Deal Machine. Perfect. And it's something like, especially if you're a newbie, you might not think that's that important. The more you do this, the more organized you can stay, the better you can scale, the better you can have more and more conversations with individual people and not have them get mixed up, and really show that you care about them personally, that you're really solving their problem. So,
man, let me tell you how that solves a huge problem for the beginner. Because for the beginner, there's 100 million softwares to use. And when you're a beginner, you don't have money to use all the different softwares. So for me, when I was just getting started working a full-time job at the dealership, I would use the notes tab in Deal Machine. When I talk to a seller, I would say, hey, they have a dog, or hey, they're going through a divorce. So that way, when I went back through my leads, right, I can easily see my notes from the last call. And you guys don't have to have like an additional CRM that you pay for monthly inside of that. You literally have it in this app. So you got multiple like tools inside of this one resource.
Yep. So you can do all that, post the note, save that right there. And then, as you're going through this, so that the note is, or keeping notes like that, staying organized that way is one step. The other thing I highly recommend to stay organized is by using tasks. So if you hit add and then add task right here, you can say like, hey, yeah, they want me to come by tomorrow. So do appointment at 2 p.m.
Nice.
Tomorrow. Cool. I'll create that task. Great. And that way, every time that you wake up and you want to jump in here and start using Deal Machine or start using your, going through your daily things to do, you go to this task manager in the top right corner, you click on that and figure out, hey, what do I need to do today? I have this appointment today. I can check that off the list, go to the next thing, and use this as a way. So that way, no matter what you have next for that person, if you can just follow through with what you say you're going to do. I mean, any sales role, that's like 80-90% of salespeople are lacking in that skill. So do that. Anytime you're having conversations with people, if you are a person of your word, you're showing it by staying organized this way.
Look, this is honestly one of my favorite apps to use when you're getting started in real estate investing. Okay. So look, we don't want you guys to spend any more time with us. We actually want you to go out and get deals. Okay. The work is building a list. Okay. The work is skip tracing and finding the motivated sellers. The work is marketing to them. Okay. And then making those offers and then following up. And Deal Machine is honestly just an easy app. So that way you can do it on the go as you're doing your 9 to 5, or if you want to use it as your scale for your for full time as well. Now I want to leave you guys. I want to leave you guys with something. Okay. Because like I said, I know it's definitely tough for the guys that are just getting started. So I wanted to leave you with something so you can have some credits to get started and try out the app, so that way you can start reaching out to sellers today with no excuses. Literally right after this. I mean, like right now, you can open up your computer, go to the Deal Machine, go to dealmachine.com and start finding motivated sellers right there on your computer and virtually drop for dollars even if you don't have any gas money. The coupon code is taking action. Okay, coupon code is taking action. That's going to give you 30 credits. Okay. That's going to give you 30 credits so you can use to either skip trace sellers or even send mail to sellers. Okay. All you got to do is click 2 clicks and you got the seller's information. Okay. Any last words, Matt? Because I'm telling you, if you guys go back through my Instagram from 6 years ago, if you guys go back through my YouTube when I was making training videos for my virtual assistants, you guys will see that Deal Machine has been there every year, every month, every week inside of our business. And I've made plenty of money, which is why I continue to share with how this app has helped our business grow.
Love it, man. Yeah. And that's something, the only thing I wanted to recap at the end here was just, we've got that comps tool as well. So if you jump into a lead, if you have a conversation with somebody and they're saying, hey, what do you offer for, or what's your offer, which it can be a scary conversation for a newbie, especially. You can have confidence by using this data to come in here and be able to see like, hey, here's what properties are going for around me or around this particular property, and really go in and be able to share and look at MLS comps and be able to come in and say, hey, let me make a really accurate offer that is going to be something that actually makes sense for that particular house. So wanted to mention like, hey, you've got comps inside Deal Machine as well. When you click view lead, you've got this comps button right here to do that. So outside of that, we covered everything. I mean, I know, like you mentioned, Salon, I mean, if they go and use that promo code taking action, like that's you guys taking action. That's you getting out there, right, being able to take that next step. To try this out, it comes with a 7-day free trial. So, if you just do dealmachine.com, that'll be a 7-day free trial with this. If you put in that promo code, it's going to give you, like you said, $30 in marketing credits, which that equates to a couple hundred free skip traces and 50 or so free mailers, free postcards. So
Nice.
we're giving you the free trial to try out everything to go build that list, and then a ton of free stuff to be able to actually market to those leads. And we've had people, I mean, again, you want to get to a couple hundred leads to get to a deal, but we have had plenty of people who you can even find on our YouTube channel who talked about the deals they did in that free trial. So it's like, hey, let's give you everything that you need, the kit that you need to get out there to take action, to start finding really, really quality leads, to start having conversations with them, to build momentum, and for you to get out there and take action. So we'll have that link you said below as well. And then, if you just use that promo code taking action when you check out, that referral code, that's going to give you way more marketing credits, all this free stuff versus, just going through our site, not having that. So
that's for sure. So look, take advantage of that, guys. And right here, I'm actually going to leave a link to the interview that I did with David, the owner, on how he suggests that you all use the app to grow your real estate investing business as well. So look, you guys, remember, you don't need all three to do a deal: time, money, and knowledge. You just need two to do you. Peace, y'all.